So welcome back guys to We Talk Boxing, and today I'm going to be giving you guys my pre-fight breakdown between the up and coming fight which is taking place on the 27th of May this year between Okolie versus Billam-Smith. Now this fight will be for the WBO World Cruiserweight title, and it's going to be shown live on Sky Sports, and it's going to be in Bournemouth. So now, before I continue with this video guys, please like, subscribe and comment and share for more boxing related content and help us grow this channel even further. So this fight sees both guys go into this fight with good boxing records. The challenger, Billam-Smith, is currently 17 wins with 12 KOs to his name, and he's got one loss on his record, which came, to Richard Riakporhe, in 2019, which was a split decision loss as well. Obviously, most of you boxing guys, boxing fans know who Richard Riakporhe is. He's regarded as one of the best cruiserweights in Britain at the moment, and he's quite highly ranked himself. Do you know what I mean? So that loss on Billam-Smith's record, is nothing to take lightly, because obviously Richard Riakporhe is a formidable opponent on his own. Now the challenger, Okolie, the WBO champion, is currently 19 wins with 14 KOs to his name. He's currently undefeated. Do you know what I mean? So again, he's got a perfect record. Do you know what I mean? So he's pretty much one of the men, do you know what I mean, in the world cruiserweight rankings, who is again one of the best fighters there. There are other champions as well within different governing bodies, but obviously the WBO champion is Okolie. Now, according to obviously BoxRec, Billam-Smith, he is currently ranked number 3 as the third best British cruiserweight currently. Do you know what I mean? People who are ahead of him obviously is the WBO champion Okolie in number 1, and Richard Riakporhe in number 2, obviously, who beat Billam-Smith. Billam-Smith, again, according to BoxRec, is the 12th best cruiserweight in the world currently. These rankings are of April as well, so they may change obviously in May, leading up to obviously the fight as well. But Billam-Smith, he is ranked fairly highly, amongst all the governing bodies. He's currently ranked obviously number 2 with the WBO. Recently, obviously, Okolie defeated David Light, which was his mandatory as well. So, I'm guessing at some point, obviously, Billam-Smith will move up to that natural position of number 1, being the mandatory. He's currently ranked, obviously, number 3 in the IBF rankings as well, and he's ranked number 2 with the WBA. And again, he dropped out for April. He dropped out of the WBC rankings as well. And he's also ranked in the Ring magazine ratings as well, so he's currently number 10 in the Ring magazine. So again, he's ranked very highly amongst all the governing bodies. Do you know what I mean? So he's got some good pedigree about him as well. So yeah, he is considered one of the best in the cruiserweight division at this present moment in time. Whereas Okolie, obviously, he is the WBO champion, which means obviously that he can't be ranked amongst any of the other governing bodies due to this reason, because he is the champion. But he is ranked number 1 according to the Ring magazine rankings as well. The only person who is their Ring champion is Jai Apataya as well. But Okolie is one of the top men in the division. He is ranked number 1 in Britain as well as the best. So this is a good fight between both guys. It sees obviously in Britain number 1 taking on number 3 as the best. Cruiserweights within the UK shores. So the most important bits of the comparisons are the physical stats between both guys. Now, this fight sees, the older man being Billam-Smith at 32 years of age, compared to Okolie, who is age 30. Do you know what I mean? According to BoxRec as well. It's got as well Okolie as the taller man at 6'5", compared to obviously Chris Billam-Smith at 6'3" as well. Now, in regards to the amount of bouts that both guys have fought, today, obviously Lawrence Okolie has had 19 bouts, whilst obviously Chris Billam-Smith has had 18. But Chris Billam-Smith is the one who's had more rounds. Most of his fights have gone a little bit longer than Lawrence Okolie, so he's had 108 rounds compared to Lawrence Okolie's 96. But Lawrence Okolie is the man with the bigger KO percentage, just shy, sorry, of 74%, compared to obviously Chris Billam-Smith, who's is just shy of 67% as well. So again, not a lot of a difference between both guys in the KO percentages, but obviously Lawrence has that few more KOs to his name. Now, in regards to when both guys started their career, both guys started in 2017. Do you know what I mean? So, I guess at some point, they potentially, they know each other very well. I heard that obviously they were sparring partners and they're fairly good friends outside of boxing as well. But obviously, this is business, so they have to do what they have to do. Yeah, so both guys as well haven't fought outside of the UK. Do you know what I mean? So far in their careers as well. So, yeah, quite domestic. Yeah, fighters really. Haven't really left the shores. But it's a good fight. The physical stats between both guys are very close. Do you know what I mean? So it's going to be a competitive fight for as long as it lasts as well. I'm looking forward to it. I feel as if it's going to be a very big and good fight to watch. In regards to it going the distance, not too sure. Now, when comparing the opposition that both guys have been in the ring with to date, yeah, this fight sees, do you know what I mean? Chris Billam-Smith, some of his previous opponents, he's been in the ring with the likes of obviously Richard Riakporhe, who I mentioned earlier as well, who gave him his first defeat. He's also been in there with Tommy McCarthy twice as well, who I feel is a good opponent as well for anyone on their day. He's also been in there with Isaac Chamberlain as well, which both guys have fought. Him as a common opponent, and as Zhang as well. Butchered that name again, but yeah, he's been in there with a few okay names. Whereas Lawrence Okolie, he fought Isaac Chamberlain earlier, fairly early in his career. He's been in there with Matty Askin as well, and also a few other names, Agloaski, Sislak as well, and David Light, but nothing that stands out in my eyes in regards to some of his opposition. But as I said, do you know what I mean? Both guys have shared the ring with a common opponent in regards to Isaac Chamberlain. Obviously, what's his name? Lawrence Okolie, he fought him earlier in his career. He fought Isaac Chamberlain in 2018. It was a unanimous decision victory, but it was only a 10-rounder as well. But again, the scores were very comprehensive. In regards to a Lawrence Okolie win, he pretty much won the majority of the rounds. So there was pretty much no debate. Do you know what I mean, of who won the fight, sort of thing. Whereas Chris Billam-Smith, he fought Isaac Chamberlain in 2022. Again, he won by a unanimous decision. You know what I mean? And again, the scores were fairly wide. You know what I mean? 117 to 111 for all three judges as well. So it was a very comprehensive victory. Do you know what I mean? For both fighters against Isaac Chamberlain, who Isaac Chamberlain is ranked quite highly as well. In the British rankings, he's ranked as number 4, the 4th best cruiserweight, and number 21 in the world as well. And yeah, he's got a good pedigree as well. He's been in there with a few decent names, Isaac Chamberlain. So yeah, nothing bad about it. It's just obviously that both guys have defeated him, and that's why they are where they are today, really. Now, also another consideration to take into account, before making my prediction as well, is the activity of both guys. Now, Chris Billam-Smith, do you know what I mean? Since 2021, he's fought 6 times since 2021. He hasn't fought this year though. Do you know what I mean? So this is going to be his first fight for 2023. But his last fight was in December last year. So again, not too much of a delay in regards to the time since he last fought. Whereas, you know what I mean, Lawrence Okolie, do you know what I mean? He's only fought 3 times, you know what I mean, since 2021. But he has fought recently earlier this year. You know what I mean? He fought in March against David Light, which was his mandatory. I can't get my words out. So yeah, so again, you know what I mean, the more active fighter in this fight is obviously Billam-Smith. You know what I mean? He's had some good competitive fights within that time as well. So he's took on some big names, Billam-Smith. You know what I mean? He's fought the likes of Tommy McCarthy as well, Isaac Chamberlain and Jojan as well within that time. So again, 3 opponents, 3 tough fights. Do you know what I mean? Even within that schedule as well, he's fought Tommy McCarthy twice as well. So yeah, so again, he to me is the more active of the fighters, and again, he hasn't lost since he lost to Riatpour back in 2019. So again, he will be full of confidence, and you know what I mean. Again, he's been improving in all the fights, so it's not just that he's lost. You know what I mean, but he's been working on, you know what I mean, the reason why he lost against Riatpour. Do you know what I mean? And his power as well is something which is improved. So again, he's adding knockouts now to his game. Whereas, as I said, you know what I mean, Lawrence Okolie hasn't been very active. Do you know what I mean? And before he fought David Light, you know what I mean, he didn't fight. And you know what I mean, his last fight prior to that was against Mikhail Sislak or something like that, which was in 2022 February. So a big time difference, you know, maybe between that fight and the David Light fight, and he didn't look outstanding against David Light. So there was a lot of ring rust there. So again, something to consider, you know what I mean, in regards to this fight. But you know what I mean, I obviously have to give a prediction. I'm gonna go with, do you know what I mean? I'm going to say this fight goes the distance. I'm going to say this fight goes the distance. And I'm going to say Lawrence Okolie wins on points. Now, don't get me wrong. Do you know what I mean? It is boxing, so technically anyone could win. You know what I mean? Any of these fighters could pull out a big shot and knock the other guy out. But I just see this fight going the distance because, you know what I mean? Lawrence Okolie is quite durable. And he's quite smart as well. He's not going to try and engage or mix it with someone like Billam-Smith when he doesn't need to, especially maybe in the earlier rounds when Billam-Smith is going to be sharp and he's going to be probably at it. You know what I mean? Probably looking for that knockout. So I feel as if the first 6 rounds are going to be very cagey. Lawrence Okolie is going to stand off him and box that range and try and maybe tie up Chris Billam-Smith when Billam-Smith bridges that gap, just to avoid him getting off his power shots, really. But as the fight progresses and goes on, I just feel as if, you know what I mean, Lawrence Okolie will potentially come on a little bit stronger in the latter parts of the fight. And he's just got the boxing knowledge and skill to, you know what I mean, to maybe just claw out some of those rounds and not win comprehensively, but just do enough, you know what I mean, to win the rounds, if you know what I mean. So I feel that it's going to go the distance and it's going to be a Lawrence Okolie victory. But as I said, anything could happen. Do you know what I mean? Billam-Smith is full of confidence. You know what I mean? He's had quite a few knockouts within his last 6 fights as well. So again, anything could happen from his point of view. I feel that his best game plan would probably be to try and, you know what I mean, rough Lawrence Okolie up, take him into the deep trenches, but look for the knockout and look for it quite early, because the earlier he looks for that knockout, the higher his chances are of winning this fight. I don't feel, as I said, I just don't feel that he's got the full boxing skill to outbox Lawrence Okolie. Do you know what I mean? Lawrence Okolie is very awkward. Do you know what I mean? So for me, Billam-Smith has to make it a difficult fight, a rough fight, a tough fight for Lawrence Okolie and take him into them trenches. But anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts. Do you know what I mean? How do you see this fight going? Who do you think wins? And by what method? Stoppage, KO, points? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, please subscribe and like and comment for more boxing related content. Bless.